Hello friends, in this video we are going to discuss the direct and indirect taxes levied by the union government. Now before we get into the discussion on what are the taxes levied by the union government, we should know again some concepts. Now what is a tax? Tax is a compulsory payment made by the citizens of a country without any direct quid pro quo, which means it is a compulsory payment if your income is coming under in the taxable income slab, then you will have to pay the tax. So it's a compulsory payment if you are eligible, and that eligibility is defined by the Government of India Income Tax Act. And then comes, okay, that you are paying this tax as a compulsory payment, but without keeping any direct expectation of benefit in proportion to your tax. So that is a tax. Now taxes could be of two types. One is a direct tax and another is indirect tax. Now why this is called direct and indirect? Because in case of the direct tax, the impact and the incidence are on the same person. That means if the government levies a tax on Mr. X, then Mr. X only pays the tax. That is why it is called as direct tax. And that means the burden of the tax cannot be transferred to anybody else. And that is why that is direct tax. And it is levied directly on the taxpayer. And the examples are the income and the wealth tax, or the property tax. And in fact, when I said that the direct tax is the tax where the impact and incidence are on the same person, I should tell you what is the meaning of this impact. Impact is basically the immediate burden, and the incidence is the final burden. Okay, so that means in case of direct tax, the immediate burden and the final burden is on the same person. That means the burden is not transferable to anybody else. That is why it is called as direct tax. The person on whom the tax was levied is only paying the tax. That is why it is known as direct tax. And I gave the example that income tax, wealth tax, and property taxes are known as the direct taxes. And in India, in the beginning, now actually, of course, Government of India has formed Central Board of Direct Taxes to oversee all the direct taxes collection, the refund, and the entire administration of the direct tax is seen by the Central Board of Direct Taxes. Now, if you go back to history a little bit, then in 1924, the Central Board of Revenue Act was enacted, and that was definitely by the British government because it is 1924 year. And the Central Board of Revenue Act 1924 initially entrusted this board basically to manage both the direct and indirect taxes. So a single board was managing both direct and indirect taxes. But then later on in 1964, the board was split into two because the burden basically increased. So then government thought that we should have now two boards, and that's how for direct tax one board was created, and for indirect tax another board was created. So the Central Board of Direct Taxes and the Central Board of Excise and Customs actually were basically created. So now the Central Board of Revenue was basically split into two boards, for one for direct tax and another for the indirect tax. And then this bifurcation was basically brought about by the Constitution no, under the Section 3 of the Central Board of Revenue Act 1963. So that's how from 1964 onwards we have now two boards, one board for the direct tax, which is known as Central Board of Direct Taxes, and for indirect taxes it was Central Board of Excise and Customs. So basically, direct tax is collected and managed by the Central Board of Direct Taxes. Now, what is an indirect tax? Indirect tax means that it is a tax where the impact or the initial burden and the incidence or the ultimate burden or the rest point of the tax are on two different points or two different entities. So that means when the tax is imposed, that is the initial burden, is on a different person, and the incidence means the ultimate burden or the resting fund of the tax is on a different person. That means, suppose the government of India imposes a tax on Mr. X or the say entity X, but this is the initial burden. But this person, Mr. X, is not paying that tax. That tax is transferred to somebody else. So the final burden or the resting fund of the tax is on Mr. Y. So, for example, if you are buying a commodity, then uh, uh, then the seller who is selling the commodity is paying the tax to the government, but the tax is paid by the customer who bought the commodity. Similarly, in case of services, suppose you are going to a beauty parlor, then the beauty parlor owner would pay the service tax to the government, but the tax is paid by the person who got the service from the beauty parlor. So the initial burden is on the beauty parlor owner, but the final resting point or the ultimate burden of the tax is on the customer who availed the service, or in case of goods, the person who bought the commodity. That is why in case of indirect tax, the impact and incidence are on two different persons or on two different entities. Now, coming to so here the burden of the tax is transferred to somebody else, and the tax is levied on somebody, and it is paid by somebody else. So the examples are goods and services tax. Then you have excise duty, you have sales tax. So these are examples of the indirect tax. Now, for the management or for the collection and refund and for the entire administration of the indirect tax, now at present we have the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, which was formerly known as the Central Board of Excise and Customs. I told you in the previous slide that the Central Board of Revenue was bifurcated into two, and so one was Central Board of Direct Taxes, and other was Central Board of Excise and Customs. That was in 1964, but later on the name has been changed, and now it is at present it is known as the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. So this organization takes basically manages the administration or the collection or the refund of the indirect taxes. Now, what are the direct taxes collected by the union government? The first one is the taxes on income, or you can say individual income tax. So this is a tax on the income of the individual, firms, etc., other than the companies under the Income Tax Act 1961. So basically, we can say in simple terms, it is a tax on the income of the individual. And of course, the government of India will define on what all incomes no government will impose tax. Just like we know that the agriculture income is not taxed by the government of India. Similarly, at present, if you are an employee of say the UN, then that tax is basically that income is not taxed by the government of India. So no government basically defines that what all incomes will be taxed, and this is defined in the Income Tax Act 1961. And this head also includes other taxes, mainly the securities transaction tax, which is levied under transaction in listed securities undertaken on stock exchanges and in units of the mutual funds. So that is basically the taxes on the income. That means income of the individuals coming from different sources, and it also includes other taxes like security transaction tax and uh, okay, so security transaction tax and basically which is levied on the transaction in listed securities undertaken on stock exchanges and in units of mutual funds. So that is the individual income tax or the taxes on the income. Then the second tag, no direct tax collected by the union government is corporation tax or corporate income tax. Now, this is a major source of income for the government of India. Within direct tax, government of India mobilizes the maximum revenue from the corporation tax. This is a tax levied on the income of the companies under the Income Tax Act 1961. So, in case of taxation income, it is individual income, but in case of corporation tax, it is the income of the companies. That's the basic difference. Now, the third tax is wealth tax that is collected, that used to be collected by the government of India, and this was a tax levied on the specified assets of certain persons, including individuals and companies, under the Wealth Tax Act 1957. But remember, this tax has been abolished since 1916 and 17. So now, no, at present, the wealth tax does not exist. This has been abolished, and this has been replaced by a surcharge on the people who are earning more than a crore. And the government of India is no more collecting a wealth tax. So we can say that now at present, government of India or union government collects only direct tax, that is taxes on income, and corporation tax as the direct tax. Now the second one is indirect taxes. Now in case of indirect tax, government imposes the union government collects the custom duty. Basically, that is a tax on the export and import. Then government of India collects the union excise duty, which is basically a tax on the production, because the state government also collects the state excise, or you can say the sales tax. But the basic difference is that when the union government collects excise duty, it is a tax on the production. When the sale and the state government imposes excise duty, it is known as the tax on the sales. So that is the difference. Union government imposes union excise on the tax on production, and I repeat that the state government imposes a tax on the sales. So that is the basic difference. Now within union excise, we have a basic excise duty, then we have national calamity contingency duty, then we have special additional duty of excise on motor spirit, and similarly we have speed petroleum. So basically, special additional duties are imposed on those commodities. And then we had service tax. Now the service tax has been subsumed under goods and service tax, and I must tell you that service tax was for the first time imposed, introduced in 1994. And the first when the first service tax was introduced, only three services were taxed. One was the telephone, then second one was the brokerage, and then third was on the non-life insurance. But no, that continued up to 2017, and now service tax has been subsumed under the goods and service tax. Now, government of India is collecting goods and service tax, which basically is an attempt to simplify the indirect tax collection process. And so all the goods and services are taxed, at a particular rate. And the goods and service tax council, GST council, which includes the finance minister and all the finance minister of the states. So they basically decide, the GST council decides what will be the tax rate on which what all commodities. We can have a separate video on the goods and service tax. But here just remember that the central government also, collects, imposes central goods and service tax. And so GST is basically a tax on the supply of goods and services, or both, except on the supply of alcoholic liquor for human consumption. And basically the supply of alcoholic liquor consumption, in case of that, the tax is imposed by the state government. Union government does not impose GST on the alcoholic liquor, for that is for human consumption. And basically GST came into force from 1st July 2017. Similarly, the union government also collects the integrated goods and service tax. In fact, what is integrated goods and service tax? When the tax is imposed on the interstate trades. Okay? If the commodity is being transported from one state to the other, that means it is produced in one state, but it is sold in other state. Then, in case of that, the central government collects that tax, but then however this is transferred to the state that basically sells the commodity, because the GST is known as a destination based tax. So no, these are the major sources of indirect taxes. One is custom duty, one other is union excise. Then we had service tax, which is now subsumed under the goods and services tax, and then we have integrated goods and service tax. And along with that, all the taxes of union territories are also the indirect taxes of the union government. That means you can say that all the land revenue and all the stamps and registration, state excise duties, sales tax, taxes on vehicles, taxes on goods and passengers, taxes and duties on electricity, other taxes and duties, union territory goods and service tax. These are all taxes no, of the union government. Of course, the land revenue would be in true sense it will be direct tax, but then these are basically collected by union territories, and then that becomes the part of the receipts of the union government. So basically, no. In fact, although here I have put under the indirect taxes, but remember, no, definitely the land revenue, then stamps and registration, and then and then yeah, I think only these two, the land revenue and stamps and registration, will go to the direct tax. But since these are collected by the union government, I have put it under one category, that is taxes of the union territories. All the taxes of union territories are also the part of the tax receipts of the union government. But out of all these things, the land revenue and stamps and registration will be direct in nature. So other things, other taxes like state excise duties, and then sales tax, taxes on vehicles, taxes on goods and passengers, then taxes and duties on electricity, other taxes and duties, and union territory goods and service tax are part of the. These are basically indirect taxes of the union government. So this is basically all about the direct and indirect taxes levied by the union government. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please click like and subscribe my channel and share this video with your friends. Thank you so much for watching this video. In our next video, we shall discuss the direct and indirect taxes of the state government. Thank you. Thank you very much.